The Sinnerman is not Marcus Pierce. I have come across some new information and I'm going to tell you why. I'm T-Rec87 and let's get started. I've been doing a lot of snooping around on the internet this last week, especially after not getting the answers that I wanted on episode 2 of Lucifer. Now, I'm just assuming that you have all already seen episode 2 of Lucifer, so I'm not going to really recap that episode at all. But as you guys saw, I posted last week, I had a couple theories on who the Sinnerman was. As you guys know, I had mentioned that I thought it was Lieutenant Marcus Pierce. And to be quite honest with you, I still thought it was him at the very end of episode 2, and that was basically up until I got on the internet and did a little more research. Now, we did see him in a little bit different light in this episode towards the end, but at the very beginning of the episode, he was still being a super creep to Lucifer and company, spying on them, breaking into Lucifer's penthouse and everything like that. But then, as we all saw, he actually had broken into Lucifer's penthouse to warn Lucifer about the Sinnerman and to be careful because the Sinnerman was really just this dangerous character that he just didn't want to get involved with. And when it really comes down to it, what he was trying to do is he's trying to, obviously, I don't think he wants anything bad to happen to Lucifer at this point, but he's also trying to protect Chloe Decker. She has a kid, and he clearly does not want anything to happen to her child, and he also alludes to the fact that something bad happened to him in Chicago when he went toe-to-toe with the Sinnerman. And I'm assuming, I don't know if it was something with his family, or, he lost a loved one basically because he went up against the Sinnerman, but he's just trying to warn Lucifer to be a little more cautious here. After he realizes Lucifer isn't going to stop, and that Lucifer wants to go toe-to-toe with the Sinnerman, and he realizes, there's nothing I can really do about that, like I said, he warns Lucifer to be more cautious, and he tells him, okay, if you want to go after him, that's great, but you need to keep this on the down low. You need to not talk to Detective Decker about this. You need to not tell anybody about this. This is basically between you and me. We're going to look into this together. So it actually is starting to look like he was, he's a little bit of a good guy. I honestly thought that this was misdirection again when I was watching the episode. I was sitting there watching it with my wife, and I was like, no, he's the Sinnerman. He's clearly the Sinnerman. He just doesn't want to, they don't want to have that big reveal yet. Like I said, I thought this was a huge load of crap until this morning. I got on the internet, and I was snooping around, just trying to read more into it and figure out a little more about it. And I came across a really interesting piece of information. Kevin Carroll has been cast as the Sinnerman for Lucifer. I don't know why this hasn't shown up in my search results because I've been searching about it all week and literally this never once came up, but apparently this is a thing. So if you guys didn't know that, this is an interesting piece of information. This clearly discounts, Lieutenant Pierce as being the Sinnerman. So obviously Sinnerman is somebody different, and we're going to get into who I actually think he could be. Now, I know this isn't the most interesting explanation in the world, but I do feel as though it was worth sharing to you guys. It may not be like an in-universe explanation, but, with this information coming to light, like I said, we're gonna explore other options here. So with that out of the way, we've narrowed down the field a little bit, but, not really. There's really so many biblical characters that Lucifer could pull from. The nice thing about the show is that they really, they have a great source material to pull from. There's a lot of characters, there's the Bible, there's the comics, there's just so many areas that they could pull from that it's really hard to know what they're going to do next. One possibility that I've run across that I think is a real possibility here is that the Sinnerman could actually be Cain. Now, Cain was a character in the Bible. Obviously, he's there's a whole story about him and Abel, but he also was in the Lucifer, the comics that Lucifer was in. I mean, if you guys look at his picture here, he definitely, I think, fits the description of somebody who looks pretty evil. Now, for those of you, which I imagine is pretty few and far between, Cain in the Bible killed his brother Abel, and I won't go too much into this. The why here isn't really the important thing, honestly. It's just the fact that he killed his brother, and this was back in biblical times, and, killing a family member is, a grave sin. Murder in itself, just generally speaking, is a grave sin. Hence the name, I think, Sinnerman. Now, he could very well be immortal. It's kind of what I'm gathering from just different sources. Honestly, it's just from kind of all over the place on the internet. I'm kind of trying to piece together my own little theory here. But basically, he could have the mark of Cain bestowed upon him, by God, basically for killing his brother. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Supernatural series, but the mark of Cain actually renders its host immortal. And in the Supernatural series, it is able to transfer from person to person. And that's not really the point here. But the point is that the mark, when bestowed upon you, makes you deathless and immortal, and it also gives you like super strength and super stamina, much like Lucifer has, so he'd be very strong, and he'd be a very dangerous character. Now, the downside to this mark, from what I've read, is basically that the mark will eventually, over time, it will corrupt your soul, it'll eat away at your soul, and basically, more or less start to make you go a little bit crazy. Now, I am just going to go ahead and assume I'm on the right path here. Now, so basically, to kind of sum it up, Cain killed his brother Abel. God marks him with the mark of Cain, or whatever you want to call it, leaving him to wander the earth for eternity, deathless and immortal, to basically sit there and think about his sin, and, and it slowly drive him insane. And he said all this time to, become more and more corrupt. Deranged crime lord, anyone? I think that there's a real possibility here. I'm on the mark, or at least close. I know I'm really kind of reaching around to all these different sources and all these different things, but basically I'm just trying to make sense of this and try to, find a way to make this fit into the Lucifer series on how I think this could play out. Outside of this new evidence, the only other possibility that I see happening is that the Sinnerman is either some other sort of demonic or angelic entity that we don't yet know about, and there's just simply too many, different angels and demons out there, especially when you start looking on the internet, different characters, that it's so hard for me to narrow down that I have honestly no other ideas right at the moment. At least as far as this week goes. I will be looking into it more, across as the week goes on, and trying to figure out and see if there's anybody else that comes to light that I think it could be. But I'm really curious to know, what did you guys actually think of this theory? Did you think I hit the nail a little bit straighter on the head here, or do you guys think I am like way off base and I'm clear out in left field? I do really want to know what you guys think about this, and along with if you guys have any other theories or any other characters that you think the Sinnerman could be. This has been driving me crazy all week, to be very honest with you, and I would like to know that I'm not alone here. If you guys like today's theory, remember to subscribe to the channel and hit that little notification bell. That way you'll be notified anytime Tyfly or myself post new content, or if it's just something that we end up posting that you guys are interested in. That's all for today, guys. As always, it's been great talking to you. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you again soon.
Outside in the cold distance, a wildcat growl.